The United States is pushing more military prowess into the Middle East, while quietly debating who should fire the first shot if a new conflict with Iran breaks out. Well, recent reports say some people in White House think the politics are a lot better if Israel hits Iran first and the US forces joins in later, rather than leading the attack itself. This thinking, combined with the growing US military presence in the region, is raising the possibility that in a future clash with Tehran, the Israel Defense Forces could move first with the US following, similar to the pattern seen in last year's 12-day campaign. Well, the United States has sent 6 more F-22 Raptor stealth fighter jets towards the Middle East, adding to an already large American military presence near Iran. Reports say these jets are expected to operate from an Israeli Air Force base where 11 US stealth aircraft had already arrived, showing how closely US and Israeli Air Forces are working together right now. Well, this comes on top of what officials describe as the biggest US military buildup in the region since the 2003 Iran invasion, with aircraft carriers, fighter jets, surveillance planes, and most importantly, refueling aircraft positioned to respond quickly to Iranian threat. Well, thousands of US troops are already spread across bases in the Gulf, Iraq, Syria, but this latest posture is clearly aimed at deterring Tehran and giving President Donald Trump fast-striking option if he decides to act. As per reports inside the White House, the debate is not only about what is militarily possible, but also about what is politically safer. In fact, some senior officials believe that if Israel launches the first strike on Iran, the domestic and international backlash against Washington would be much easier to manage than if the US openly leads the major war against Khamenei. Now, there is also a fear that a large US-led campaign against Iranian nuclear and missile sites could trigger massive retaliation on American bases and forces across the region and even in the parts of Europe. Unlike Israel, which has layered missile defenses like the Iron Dome to protect its territory, US troops and facilities in the Middle East are more exposed, and heavy American casualties could be politically disastrous for Trump in a tense political climate. Last year's 12-day war, in which US and Israeli forces coordinated a rapid series of strikes on Iranian assets and allied militia, left a strong impression in Washington. While the campaign was seen as a tactical success, it highlighted how quickly US stocks of precision-guided weapons and air defense interceptors can be used up in a high-tempo fight with Iran. Though this time, things are a lot different. This time, US assets are there near the Iranian waters, but there is also another dynamic that US understands really well. Well, reports suggest that officials in White House are now warning that a longer air war with Tehran could severely strain US munitions reserves at a time when Washington is also trying to prepare for a possible crisis with China over Taiwan. This concern over stretched resources is another reason some officials think it is better if Israel delivers the first and possibly the heaviest blows, with the US joining more selectively or mainly in a supporting role. So far, neither Washington nor Jerusalem has publicly signaled the final decision to launch new strikes on Iran. But still, the arrival of more US F-22s, ongoing warnings about Iranian threats, and open talks in the White House that the politics are a lot better if Israel moves first all suggest that Trump's advisors might seriously considering that scenario. Well, at the end, it is also true that Trump still has a wide range of options, from limited, symbolic strike meant to send a warning to a much broader campaign targeting Iran's nuclear program, missile sites, and key command centers linked to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But inside his administration, there is a growing recognition that a full-scale US-driven war against Iran would be extremely risky. That is why, politically, some in Washington now see an Israeli strike first, with US power close behind, as the more attractive and lucrative path if a new conflict becomes unavoidable with Iran.